Gentlemen, Grayson Singleton has game. Call it Riz, call it aura, whatever you want to call it. I witnessed Grayson Singleton's game in real time yesterday evening.
I don't know if that's how I'd describe it.
I'm very curious to hear how you would describe it because, folks, let me set this scene for you. All right? Grayson Singleton, as many of you know, the voice of Norman North Athletics on krefsports.tv. Yesterday evening, he, of course, was at Norman North's sparkling new stadium calling the Timberwolves matchup against UConn. I also happened to be there. I was there to check in with all of the veritable collegiate prospects on Norman North's football team, as well as a couple on the UConn side of things. And so I was there, I was present, and I was one of many who endured a lightning delay that spans nearly 2 hours, maybe in excess of 2 hours.
No, that was like 2 hours 10, 2 hour 15 minute delay.
Okay, so yeah, over 2 hours we sat there in a lightning delay as storms rolled through the metro area. And so at a certain point, it's me and it's Davis Cordova, who's the sports editor at the Norman Transcript. We were down there on the field. The game, we got about 4 minutes into the football game before the lightning delay hit. And so Davis and I headed up to the press box to just shoot the breeze with Grayson and our buddy JoJo on the KRefSports.tv broadcast team up in the press box while we waited for the weather to pass. And at a certain point, we're probably about an hour and a half into the delay.
Yep.
I kid you not. We get hit with a zero blitz.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute, all-out, engage 8, zero blitz from a young woman who barges into the studio and says, "I'm here to shoot my shot. Are you single?" to one Grayson Singleton. Now, as you know, if you're a regular listener to this particular program here on the Ref, Grayson is not, in fact, single. He's in a happy and stable relationship, at least as far as we know.
That would be correct.
And so, he politely declines the young woman's advances, and she departs. But, folks, I just couldn't help but wonder, because that was the first time I went to Norman North for a game day this year. I just couldn't help but wonder, sitting there, watching this all unfold, does this happen every week for my boy?
No.
Is this a one-off? Or is this just like, is he the unquestioned ladies' man of the Norman North broadcast contingent?
This does not happen, and I try not to have it happen while I'm in professional settings. Now, before I was dating my girlfriend, I would go out, and things like that would sometimes happen. Yes, they would.
Humble brag time right here.
You asked the question, Parker. But,
continue.
But, no, when I'm working, that generally does not happen. There's been a couple times it has, but not generally while I'm working, and I would prefer it that way because I don't like mixing that side of my life with my work. But now I am in a stable and happy relationship.
By the way, to those of y'all asking on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, no, this was not a high school student, okay?
Y'all are insane, man.
This was an adult woman.
No, she looked like
she
looked like she might be older than me. Like, she looked like 25, 26.
Perhaps. But regardless, yes, that was the spectacular highlight of last night. That was arguably more riveting than anything that happened on the field. And it was a really good game between Norman North and UConn. But, man, walking away from the stadium, nothing was seared into my memory quite like Grayson Singleton getting zero blitzed in the broadcast booth. Remarkable.
And I found my outlet and completed it to the hot route.
He beat the zero blitz, folks.
Tattoo Baker.
He evaded the rush.
Tattoo Baker says, breaking, Grayson is scared of older women. The last girl I was talking to before my girlfriend was actually older than me.
How much older?
About 18 months.
Oh, okay. That counts. That qualifies. It's got to be a year plus. She's within a year. I don't necessarily think it counts as quote-unquote older. But
that's valid.
Now that we've given you your props here, Grayson, it's time to put you on trial.
Let's do it.
Because, as I understand it, you have elected to lock in Ole Miss as your upset pick of the week in the Ref Royal Rumble. Needless to say, those amongst the ranks of the K-Ref Army are up in arms about that reality. So I will now give you the chance to take the stand and present your defense. How do you plead?
I plead I'm trying to win a contest. That's how I plead. And, you know, you look at the reaction to the line from a lot of gambling people around the country, so I took that into account. Also, keep this in mind. I didn't feel good about a whole lot of the other upset lines. The one that I wanted to take, I'll tell you this, and this is true, because I was talking to Blake Gamble about this earlier today. I wanted to take Illinois because the Illini are 4-point dogs to Washington. However, Parker, you know this. For our upset special, it has to be a 5-point or more dog. So I had to pivot to the next likely one. So I see Texas at +7 against Mississippi State. I don't think the Longhorns are going to lose to Mississippi State. And there weren't really many other ones that there were to choose from. Now, does that mean that I think Oklahoma is going to lose the game? That is not what that means. However, I'm trying to win this contest and win these bragging rights here, and I'm going to do what gives me the best chance to win. Because I had a good week last week, and I'm trying to double down on that this week.
This is my one criticism of the Ref Royal Rumble. Maybe we can rectify this in future years. I feel as though the upset pick disproportionately impacts the rankings and just the overall scoring.
I can see that.
You only have the potential for 4 points a week, and 3 of those points come on the upset pick. So you have to hit your upset picks with great regularity in order to win the Ref Royal Rumble. It's mostly just a contest to see who can identify the correct upset picks more so than anything else. Because you could hit every single lock all year, and you're not going to make a ton of headway unless you're picking your upsets wisely.
Exactly, which honestly makes it kind of fun.
It does, but also quite volatile. I would like it a little bit more if we had 2 or 3 locks. So at least, if you don't hit the upset, at least you have the opportunity to earn 2 or 3 points on any given week and just kind of consistently hit singles, if you will.
Somebody on the text line, I lost the text. Oh, here it is. Chris from Knoxville asks, what's your record in the Ref Royal Rumble, Grayson? I am 3rd right now.
Are you 3rd?
Yes. I moved up to 3rd after last week.
Man, see, I'm just kind of floundering right now. I think I'm maybe 6th. I'm somewhere stuck in the middle of the pack. Need to who did I pick as my upset this week? I didn't go with Mississippi State because you get to a certain point in the season, you also can't pick the same upset as everybody else because otherwise you're not going to make up any ground.
Exactly, and that's also the thing. 2 people picked Mississippi State. So at that point, it's not really smart for me to do that.
I cannot for the life of me remember who I took as my upset pick this week. It was not one I was terribly confident in. I was like, all right, I got to make something happen here. Brian from Maryland on the text line says, if we lose, Grayson, it's on you. Jail. Straight to jail. However, a 405 listener does say, there's more to life than winning. Intellectual honesty, for instance.
And isn't that what I bring to these airwaves every single day?
If nothing else, you do bring intellectual honesty.
Intellectual honesty and football analysis. Reformed Sooner says, I'm with you, Grayson. Until the offense can prove they can score enough, I can't pick OU. Okay, you went a step further than I did. Reformed Sooner.
Oh, classic text from Gunny of Stutzman Army. I'd expect nothing less. Some of y'all young fellas out there need to read more of Ben Franklin's papers. He wrote on the joys of talking to older women.
How many older women have I talked to in my life? Not that many, I don't think.
I think I might be sitting at 0.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think it's that now. Yep, I don't think that's a demographic I ever tapped into in my single days. Which are thankfully behind me. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. If you want to chime in throughout the show, which is brought to you every single day by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC out in El Reno. If you're looking for a brand new vehicle, why not a GMC? They offer some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today, and Dorsey Jones can offer you phenomenal service, including half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So make the short trek out to El Reno and check in with Dorsey Jones. OU Tuba says, don't worry, Grayson just verbalized what we are all thinking. 580 Mike Honcho adds, we don't want to hear your logical talking points, Grayson. The Waffler says, I don't know Grayson about the intellectual. I still want to hear more about Oklahoma State being a better head coaching job than Auburn. Was that a take of yours?
I stated my case for that yesterday.
Is the case basically that Auburn is a pressure cooker, that you're going to you can't win enough for those people?
For one, and then also there's a metric in the ESPN rankings that they use, access to the college football playoff, in terms of ranking these open jobs.
Okay.
And if you turn around Oklahoma State, which, by the way, somebody said that Auburn's on a higher trajectory. There is no trajectory at Auburn, by the way. They're about to have a losing season for the 4th year in a row.
And as we recall, Oklahoma's own head football coach, Brent Venables, had the opportunity to be the head coach at Auburn, and he turned it down because he did not like the way that athletic department was aligned.
Yeah, that is also a very good point. But no, if you turn Oklahoma State around, you've got a much easier access to the CFP than you do at Auburn. That was my argument.
Chris in Tulsa says, can we find a new co-host for Locked In? I don't know if he wants me fired or he wants you fired.
He definitely wants me fired. Nobody's wanted you fired.
Really?
Except the one dude that I showed you that text from our friend in Mississippi that said neither of us were qualified to talk about football. Remember I showed you that one?
Well, like I always say, if you don't got haters, you're probably just a suck-up.
I was about to say, if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Ron, the old truck driver on the text line, asks, guys, I'm late to the party today. Boy, Ron, have you missed a lot.
Good night, man.
I'm sorry you were late to the party. You're going to want to catch the beginning of the show on the podcast when it drops in about an hour. Ron asks, though, what's up with Derek Simmons? Derek Simmons is in concussion protocol. The expectation is that he will not play tomorrow, so you're probably looking at Luke Baklenko as your starting right tackle. Ryan Foje will be available to play right tackle as well. He's been repping there in practice throughout the week. So that's where things stand. It makes you a little bit apprehensive about Oklahoma's offensive line because consider this, Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 games in which Oklahoma has played outstanding football up front in the offensive trenches are the 2 games where they've had their ideal lineup out there. Michigan and South Carolina. Those are the only 2 games where for 4 quarters you have had, in effect, the exact same starting 5. I think we saw one Eddie Pierre-Louis drive at left guard a week ago. But outside of that, in the Michigan and in the South Carolina game, it was Michael Fasusi, Heath Ozida, Jake Michaela, Febechi Wiwu, Derek Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only 2 games in which we have seen all of those guys start and finish the game for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and you know the constant turnover on this offensive line, I've said this before, that probably is my number 1 red flag on a football team, when your offensive line just can't develop that continuity. Now, Luke Baklenko, boy is he a necessity and not a luxury anymore out of the transfer portal, but he is a solid player, and he's a dude that can do some work in the SEC, so it'll remain to be seen. I did see this, Parker, and I'm not sure if you elaborated on this earlier in the day, but Logan Howland was listed as probable. Is there any chance in any kind of situation that he could go?
I was very surprised to see Logan Howland listed as probable because everything I've heard throughout the week is that he is not really anywhere close to being 100% yet. It's kind of a situation like maybe a Michael Tarquin against Missouri last year when he was, quote-unquote, available. He suited up, but you could tell from the very first warm-up rep he took, okay, that guy is not doing – you don't want him on the field tonight because he just can't move. He's not going to be effective. And as I understand it, that's kind of the situation right now with Logan Howland. I guess he could technically be available, and I guess that's the reason for the probable designation, but he's not 100% or close to it right now. So my expectation, again, Fasusi at left tackle, Baklenko at right. Maybe you see Ryan Foje at right tackle at a certain point.
Now, what do you think about that? Because you and Steely broached that topic, and Ryan Foje, you and I have talked about how his body has kind of changed to morph into a guard in college football. So if he has to kick back out to tackle, based on what you know, how would you feel about that in terms of foot speed and stuff like that?
It's his natural position.
Right.
And so from that standpoint, I feel okay about it. Is he in tip-top shape to play that position at a high level right now? Probably not. But again, I would say that guy, even at 325 pounds-ish, probably gives you a better chance than a significantly less than 100% Logan Howland. So,
and I
we'll
can
see.
get behind that.
Hopefully you can get 4 healthy quarters from Baklenko. Okay, folks, we got to hit an opening timeout here. When we return, Oklahoma has a very, very high-profile flip target on campus this weekend. We'll break down that situation and much more as the Sooners prepare for what could be a very consequential day of recruiting tomorrow. Here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here. We'll be back.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is The Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
Confidence Ford of Norman invites you to experience a new 2024 Mustang Mach-E. With $13,000 in savings you won't want to miss. With an estimated 320 miles of range, a complimentary home charger station, and advanced driver assist tech, it's built to conquer every twist and turn ahead. Come take a test drive today at 825 North Interstate Drive or visit us online at confidenceford.com. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
What are you doing out there?
Come on!
I saw you at the game the other night. Yeah, you. Up there getting mad, acting like we're all out there making $1 million a game. Well, let me be real with you. This isn't the pros. It's school sports, and it's a game, our game. So please, let us play.
School sports fans, remember, when you cheer for your team, make noise for the right reasons. This message presented by the NFHS and the NIAAA.
And all student athletes in Oklahoma.
At Armstrong Bank, your business isn't just business to us, it's personal. Our bankers are invested in your success, and we're ready to build a relationship that lasts. You deserve a strong financial partner by your side. Together, we can help make your business even stronger with products and services designed for your convenience. To learn more, visit a location near you or visit armstrong.bank. Armstrong Bank, strength runs in our family. Member FDIC.
Looking for a company that can do both pest control and lawn care? Look no further than Atlas Pest Control and Atlas Lawn Care. Locally owned and trusted since 1959, serving Edmond, Yukon, Newcastle, Blanchard, Midwest City, Norman, Moore, Del City, and the OKC area. Atlas has complete pest and lawn coverage all in one place. Call today for your no-obligation quote and experience service from professionally trained technicians who care about your property as much as you do. Atlas Pest Control and Lawn Care, 405-321-4643.
Some places just get it right every single time. At Charleston's in Norman, we're serving up comfort classics like slow-roasted prime rib, chicken tender platters, and warm croissants with honey butter.
For date nights, family meals, or weekday lunches, make it Charleston's. Charleston's in Norman, where consistency meets quality. Tune in every Friday to hear more about the Hal Smith Restaurant Group during The Rush and the Dari Noka Show here on The Ref. Come on down to River Bottom Nursery at one of their 2 locations in OKC. Now under new ownership, River Bottom serves both the commercial industry as well as the gardener and homeowner at both their plant and tree nursery locations. River Bottom Nursery has everything you need to make your yard paradise. Call them today, 405-735-3636, or swing by one of their 2 locations. RiverbottomNursery.com, Oklahoma City's premier tree and plant nursery.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
13. You might think that number is unlucky.
But lucky for you, there's KOCO5 First Alert Weather, certified most accurate for the 13th year in a row.
It's not luck, it's a fact, and that's verified by WeatherRate,
An independent service that tracks every forecast every day.
We put accuracy in action, so you always know what to expect.
Because when it comes to your plans, you shouldn't have to rely on luck.
Trust KOCO5 First Alert Weather, Oklahoma City's most accurate forecast, now 13 years in a row.
I mentioned I was at Norman North last night, as was Grayson Singleton. And we stayed up long after midnight to watch the conclusion of that game, which ultimately was a 48-40 victory for UConn over the Timberwolves of Norman North.
Yep.
But I had been in the gates at Norman North for all of 30 seconds. Came and said, "What's up?" to Grayson down on the field, and then my phone rang. And when my phone rang, and I picked up, I was greeted with the news that Jayden Petit, four-star wide receiver out of Naples, Florida, St. John Neumann High School, and a Wisconsin commit, was going to be visiting Oklahoma this weekend. And, of course, when you get a call like that, and it's actual news, it's not out anywhere yet, I figure, well, okay. That's all. That's great. I figured it'll be about an hour or two before Steve Wiltfong, the Godfather, learns of this. And lo and behold, he did, and put the report out late last night that Petit is going to be on campus with the Sooners. And Grayson, this is the culmination of an effort that Oklahoma began many months ago, not long after Petit committed to Wisconsin. And it's been ongoing throughout the season. The effort has continued to be get Jayden Petit to Norman for a game day. Show this kid, all 6'4", 220 pounds of him, that he is a much better fit at the University of Oklahoma than he is at the listing University of Wisconsin right now. That program is in dire straits. They were shut out last week by Ohio State. Luke Fickell is squarely on the hot seat. As I understand, it's really just a matter of when they can raise the money to dismiss him as head football coach. But any way you slice it, this is an extraordinarily talented and physically gifted football player that Oklahoma has been working to flip for some time from a school that, quite frankly, I don't know why it makes sense from a business standpoint for a wide receiver of Jayden Petit's caliber to be committed to a school that, A, isn't winning football games right now, and B, quite characteristically, doesn't throw the ball. But here we go. Here we go, G-Baby. The Sooners are getting Jayden Petit on campus tomorrow, and will take their shot with him.
You know, get him in and see what can happen, because anything can happen once you get him in the building. But is it just me, or is anybody else kind of confused as to why he stayed committed to Wisconsin for this long? I mean, that team looks, putrid offensively, and they don't have an offensive pulse. And, like you said, is characteristic with Wisconsin. Committing there as a wide receiver just doesn't make a whole lot of sense business decision-wise, especially for a dude who has NFL aspirations and certainly has NFL caliber talent and body construction like he does. And this is why, obviously it's why you keep up contact with these guys, but I think the question now becomes, and Parker, I think you agree with this too, where does he flip to, not if he flips? Because there's nothing. There's not going to be anything left at Wisconsin. If you and I know that the Badgers and their administration are just in the process of keeping Luke Fickell around until they can comfortably fire him, then everybody else knows it or at least senses it too. So in that case, that's why I say it's a surprise that he stayed around for this long. But this is going to be a good spot for him to come to. And also, if you're Oklahoma, I'm going to take the same logic I took coming up on the Michigan game. Got to show out. You got to show out for this kid. Wide receivers got to have a big day. Emmett Jones' group, Emmett Jones himself has to have a big day. The offense has to have a big day so you can get a guy like this in there because he is a game changer once he gets on to a college campus, wherever he lands.
Now, I will say this, and I have said this before, it bears repeating in a moment like this and on a day like this. Oklahoma has Jayden Petit at the absolute top of their wide receiver board. There is no receiver, and they feel great about the guys they've got. There is no receiver they would rather have that's on the market right now or, loosely on the market, i.e. committed to their to another school, that they would rather have than Jayden Petit. This has been priority A1 for Oklahoma at this position for months now. They love his game. Obviously, he's had an enormously productive senior season. It's a weekly occurrence. He's going for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns for St. John Neumann every single Friday at this point. So he's having a sensational campaign. His stock is on the rise in the ratings and rankings department. And Oklahoma has long loomed as the biggest threat to flip Petit. And so now with the news that he's coming halfway across the country on his own dime, because he already took the official visit. So any subsequent trips he takes are unofficial, and that is the case this weekend. The fact that he's coming halfway across the country on his own dime to check out Oklahoma again after taking an OV in June that got the Sooners so close to landing his pledge, this bodes extraordinarily well for the Sooners, as does the fact that Wisconsin plays on the road tomorrow at number 6 Oregon. I think we can all figure how that game's going to go, Grayson.
Yeah, you would assume. You would assume. But again, if you're Oklahoma, you got to handle your business. There's no comparing you to Wisconsin right now in terms of the results of these games on Saturday. You got to take care of your business and put yourself in the best possible situation. And that means on the football field, that means from a leadership standpoint, which they've already done, obviously, and also in the financial realm as well, because when you have commits to a school that's kind of curious and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, there is one place that we naturally will go to, and it's all fair and valid. So you got to make sure you put yourself in the best position, and then Wisconsin will do what Wisconsin will do.
Justin from Omaha says, Parker, explain to me how Petit even ended up at Wisconsin in the first place. That place is a dumpster fire. So Petit, as I understand it, has a trainer that played at Wisconsin. And that was kind of the origin of the initial bond between Petit and the staff, the Badger staff, that is. And that staff did a really, really good job of making him feel like a priority and making him feel like the guy at that position. Now, it is worth noting in this regard that said trainer had a teammate at Wisconsin back in the day that is currently on staff at the University of Oklahoma, and that would be none other than Jay Valai, who was an all-Big Ten cornerback for the Badgers back in the late 2000s. And so Jay Valai, throughout this process, has been instrumental in not only helping Oklahoma mount the initial push for Petit, but enabling them to maintain staying power even after he committed to Wisconsin and more or less unofficially shut his recruitment down. This is a big part of the reason why Oklahoma has long been positioned as the primary threat to turn Petit away from his commitment to Wisconsin. Obviously, Emmett Jones has been working overtime to to try and get this thing done. Stacey Ford, Jim Nagy, they've been actively involved. But Jay Valai and his Wisconsin connections, man, those have been instrumental as well. And so we'll see what happens. The Sooners taking their shot with 2 blue-chip wide receivers this weekend in Petit and Penn State commit Jasir Rogers. I feel great, man. Have felt great for a while about Oklahoma getting things done with Petit. This is not the first time on these airwaves I've expressed confidence that Oklahoma is going to pull this flip off, and you could see a lot of tangible motion in that direction this weekend if Oklahoma can win and play well offensively against Ole Miss.
Bill Brasky on the text line says, may have missed it, but was this the same kid who we thought we had and committed to Wisconsin in like July, wanted to come here but chose them? I think he's correct here.
Yeah, so it was kind of surprising to many in Norman when he made the decision to commit to Wisconsin, because the feeling on the OU side was he likes us best. This is where he's leaning right now, and I hadn't necessarily gotten the sense in talking to Petit that he was a heavy lean to one school or the other, but at the tail end of his process, right before he committed to the Badgers, the consensus was, okay, it's going to be one of 3 schools. It's going to be OU, it's going to be Missouri, it's going to be Wisconsin. I felt best about OU. Obviously, OU felt best about their odds with him, but he chose the Badgers. And I recall from the jump, just talking to folks within the Switzer Center, their feeling on it was, okay, we'll see this fall. We'll see. Because Wisconsin's not going to throw the ball. They're probably not going to win a ton of games. We're going to stay after this kid, and we're going to see what we can do in the long run. And here we are. It took till late October, but the Sooners may be on the precipice of pulling this flip off.
On our YouTube chat, I just wanted to shout this out. We have a listener from Barcelona who says, go Sooners, Parker. So somebody listening in Barcelona. But I want to get to this text in the 405. Does this mean we don't like our chances with Milan Paris?
I would say, okay, and to be clear here, Oklahoma would take Petit, they would take Paris, they would take Jasir Rogers. They would take up to 6 wide receivers in this class because they love those 3 guys that much. I don't know that Oklahoma feels fantastic about their chances with Milan Paris. I know there's some surface-level confidence just based on the interactions they had with Paris while he was in town for his official visit, but you also got to consider who you're up against. You're trying to flip Jayden Petit from Wisconsin, okay? You're trying to flip Jasir Rogers from a Penn State program that is wilting right now in real time. They're not going to be bowl eligible in all likelihood this season. With Milan Paris, you're going toe-to-toe with Oregon and Miami. Oregon and Miami are both top 10 programs right now, and they both have large checkbooks. And so you have to understand, in just approaching that recruitment down the stretch, you have to understand that there are a lot more ways that one can turn sideways on you than the whole process with Petit. And even the whole process with Jasir Rogers. He's going to OV to Alabama and Nebraska as well, but frankly, at least at this point, I tend to like Oklahoma's chances going up against the Huskers and the Crimson Tide. The guy I feel most confident, though, that Oklahoma is able to land down the stretch, the wide receiver position, without question, is Jaden Petit. And I know this Oklahoma staff is going into this weekend with the full intention of locking Petit down. They want to get this done this weekend, and they feel it's a legitimate possibility.
And there's nothing that speaks more volumes than winning a football game.
Mm-hmm. Especially over a program like Ole Miss.
Yeah.
The Waffler says, Wisconsin's still in better shape than Oklahoma State. I think that's directed at you.
Yeah, I feel like at this point the Waffler might be a hater. Like, I feel like he's just reasoning with hate at this point.
Yeah, we got a few of those. Glenn from Nashville says, are the Florida schools recruiting him? Does he just want to go out of state? Well, Miami, the way Miami approaches local recruiting is so bizarre.
Yeah.
And they were going to host Petit for an official visit in June, and then he switched his Miami date to go OV at Missouri instead. So the vibes I'd gotten, and those were kind of confirmed by how the Hurricanes seemingly kind of backed out, was that Miami was half-hearted about recruiting Petit. To be fair, there are a lot of very talented wide receivers from the state of Florida that Miami is always in the mix with, and so they're in a region of the country where they can kind of have their pick of the litter to a certain extent, and they just didn't really place a terribly high priority on Petit, which is great because, I mean, if they don't like that guy, if they're not willing to go full throttle in the pursuit of Jayden Petit, it makes life a little bit easier for Oklahoma because they see incredible potential in that kid, in addition to just that objective reality of what you see on his tape, which is that he's a dominant player at the high school level. So Miami, it doesn't feel like they're going to be a player down the stretch for Petit, much of one at least, especially given their involvement with Paris. And then Florida State and Florida, why would you commit to either of those schools right now if you're Jayden Petit? What advantages do those schools have over a school like Wisconsin? Okay, I would say two things. One, proximity to home. The other being that you're probably able to make a home run hire more easily, more reliably at Florida and at Florida State than you could at Wisconsin. But any way you slice it, it's not a great situation to be in. It's not a great situation to be committed to. It's not a vastly superior situation for Petit right now, even if there was heavy interest from the Gators or from the Seminoles. So Oklahoma seems to be really well positioned here. And they want to get this thing done this weekend, and I think they're going to have a chance to get this thing done this weekend. 405-651-3439. Much more ground to cover coming up. We'll hit more of your texts and wrap up this Friday edition of Locked In here on the other side. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
The Ref Radio Sports Network is powered statewide by the insurance adjusters at Brown O'Haver. Fire, wind, theft, or tornado, we can help. Call 405-735-5510.
It's truck or treat time here at Seth Wadley Chevy GMC in Paul Valley. At Seth Wadley Chevy GMC, you'll get all the trucks and even more treats with some big city selection and low country prices. Here's a real treat with 2.9% for 72 months on new 26 Chevy Silverado and take 20% off new 25 GMC Sierra and Chevy Silverado 1500s. The real treat is a small town country people you'll deal with and an entire lot full of new Chevy and GMC trucks. Seth Wadley Chevy GMC always has all the trucks and even more treats with some of the biggest discounts and lowest interest rates just in time for truck buying season. Oklahoma, it's always a treat with a promise.
That's my promise of oil changes and engines for life on new or used gas or diesel at no additional cost to you.
So come get you a new pickup at Seth Wadley Chevy GMC, I-35, exit 72, Paul Valley, or click SethWadleyGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
GMC stock number G24132, Chevy 2.9% WAC.
When you quit tobacco with nicotine patches, gum, or lozenges, you double your odds of success. So this month, we're giving you more for free. Get an 8-week supply when you sign up with the Oklahoma Tobacco Helpline. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Text READY to 34191. Or visit okhelpline.com to double your odds of quitting tobacco with 8 weeks of free patches, gum, or lozenges all month long. A program of TSET.
Hey, it's Mike Steely here for my friend Gary and the great staff at Cavens Group. After all the rain in the spring and now with temperatures on the rise, you might have a problem with mold growing in your home or business. Let the staff at Cavens help you before it becomes a major issue. Don't forget, Cavens can help you with water emergencies and biohazard cleanup 24 hours a day. Call Cavens today at 405-573-3048 or visit them online at cavensgroup.com.
When it comes to buying a home, you need a winning game plan. At Stride Bank, our mortgage team helps you get from kickoff to closing with competitive rates, local expertise, and personalized service. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we'll be right there on the field with you. Learn more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stride Bank on your team since 1913 with Oklahoma roots and nationwide reach.
Good time.
It's spooky season here at Riverwind Casino.
And the monster jackpots are taking over.
Experience all thrills and chills on brand new electronic games. Celebrate in style as a VIP in a private suite in our Showplace Theater. Game like an MVP when you play with your wild card. Drop in every Friday in October to win your share of our $100,000 Creepin' for Cash giveaway.
So keep the good times rolling at your favorite haunt.
And we'll see you at Riverwind Casino.
Josh Helmer here, co-host of the Yarinoka Show and part of your Sooner Game Day coverage here at the Ref. Catch us every Sooner Game Day as we take a deep dive into the Sooners matchup for the week, leading up to and after the game. Whether the Sooners are playing at the Palace or anywhere across the country, there's no better way to listen than by tuning in on the KREF app. Apple or Android, it doesn't matter. Just search for KREF in your app store and never miss a second of the Ref's Game Day coverage. That's the KREF app to take the home of Sooner fans anywhere you go in the world.
Wounded Warrior Project has been there for me since that first day in the hospital. They got me out of the house, they got me connected with other veterans, and they helped me face my PTSD. They support me and my family at every turn. And now I'm helping other warriors realize that they're not alone.
Through our hands-on programs, supportive community, and ongoing advocacy, we help post-9/11 veterans realize what's possible. Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/possible.
It's the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Final segment here on Locked In before Grayson and I turn it over to Tyler and Ted. The 3 hours of the rush coming up. Tune in at the top of the 3 o'clock hour to hear those fellas. Take you all the way home on your Friday drive home from work. Is there any high school football being played across the state tonight, Grayson?
Not that I'm aware of.
Everybody just get their games out of the way last night.
Yep.
I guess it's going to be a quiet Friday night for me. Going to go home and chill.
What you got going on?
Nothing.
There you go.
Nothing. I have absolutely nothing, which is a rarity.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually I'm running around all over creation on Friday before an OU game, going to watch high school football somewhere in America. But not this week. Not this week. I will go to bed early tonight. I will get 8 solid hours of sleep.
Hell yeah.
I will wake up and cover OU versus Ole Miss tomorrow. And that's how we're rolling. That'll be fun. We had a listener say Purcell plays Monday. Yeah, I would figure for anybody that got postponed last night, it's probably got to be like a Saturday or a Monday type of game. Less than ideal. A 702 listener says Claremore is playing Pryor tonight.
Okay then.
Travis in Tulsa says it's actually Pryor in Collinsville. But, okay, so we have at least one game in the state. We have at least one high school football game that is taking place this evening. We'll see if the weather holds. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. So we discussed the big topic, the big scoop, the big news when it comes to OU recruiting going into this weekend, and that is Jayden Petit and his visit, the 4-star Wisconsin commit, showing up to town to take in this game as Oklahoma makes an effort to flip him from the Badgers. But, man, it's a pretty star-studded visitor list. It's a very star-studded visitor list coming to town for the Ole Miss game tomorrow, which you can check out in its entirety at OUinsider.com. But a few headliners outside of Jayden Petit. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of commits in town. Bo Bentley's going to be back. Cooper Hackett's going to be back. Caden Penny's going to be back. Brian Harris is going to be in town. Ryder Mix, Noah Best, etc. But amongst the ranks of the uncommitted, how about Jaquan Snell? Number 3 safety in the nation in the 2027 class from down in Waxahachie, Texas. Number 29 overall prospect and a guy that is coveted coast to coast. The Sooners are looking to make a surge in his recruitment. It's felt lately like that is Texas A&M's battle to lose. But Oklahoma has had an offer outstanding to Snell for almost 2 years. So they've been pushing there for a while with him. We'll see if they can make a move there this weekend. Taven Epps, 4-star defensive end, edge rusher from the state of California, committed to Texas. So the Sooners are looking to pull off a flip from their most heated rival. Samaj Stanford going to be in town.
Okay, now.
Yeah. This is a guy, man, where it felt like things kind of plateaued with him in Oklahoma for a while. Not in the sense that, they were going separate directions progressively. But it didn't really feel like Oklahoma was closing in on a commitment from Samaj Stanford or like extending a lead with Samaj Stanford. But as it stands right now, the 4-star safety from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, this is a guy I still really like Oklahoma's chances with. He's got a ton of interest. A star-studded offer sheet that features Georgia and Ohio State. Nebraska is a school he's been really high on for quite some time. His primary recruiter up there has been former Oklahoma running back Jamar Mosey, who's the senior assistant for football now on Nebraska's staff. Gabriel Osborne, 4-star defensive back from Mustang, really talented football player, regarded by some services as a top 100 player in the country. And, man, how about a couple big-time prospects from the state of Utah? 4-star defensive end Crew Jones, who is on record as stating that Oklahoma is the leader in his recruitment. And then Bodie Sparrow, 4-star athlete from Kaysville, Utah, whom I believe is a Weber State legacy. But he's got the two big in-state offers, Utah, BYU, some of the other regional powers, the usual suspects, Oregon, Cal, Colorado, Boise State, etc. But Oklahoma recently got involved. They will get him on campus over the weekend as well. And then last couple guys to highlight, and again, we're just kind of touching the tip of the iceberg here. But, man, couple running backs in the 27 class that Oklahoma's in good standing with, and that I think they may be inclined to wrap things up early. Whether that's in Oklahoma's favor or not remains to be determined. But Lathan Wisington from Waco, Texas, 4-star back that I actually went to see a couple weeks ago, the night before OU Texas. Really talented downhill runner, mean back. He's bulked up. He's physical. He's got a little bit of burst, but he is as ferocious a between-the-tackles runner as I've seen at the high school level in the last few years. Really, really talented player. And then Jackson Stokes coming in from the state of California. If Wisington is the Thunder, Stokes is the Lightning. A little bit more of a diminutive back, but he's elusive. He's explosive. He plays at Sierra Canyon High School out in Chatsworth, California, which Oklahoma has been out to before. They signed 4-star offensive lineman B.J. Brooks out of Sierra Canyon in the 2024 class, although he did not end up sticking at Oklahoma. He spent 1 year with the Sooners and then transferred out to UCLA. But it's not the Michigan visitor list, Grayson, because nothing is. Pretty impressive list of prospects that's going to be in town tomorrow.
And look, I'm not going to go as far as to say this is the most important game for Oklahoma's future, because it's not. But you want to make an impression on some of these kids, you got to show out. And I do think this too. With the pregame buzz that we've seen percolating over the course of this entire week, everybody's going to be up for this thing, right? Like, this is not just a story between Ole Miss and Oklahoma. This is a story between, everybody, because everybody's weighed in on Lane Kiffin. Everybody's weighed in on Brent Venables' response. And then you've got one of the best offensive minds going up against one of the best defensive minds in the game. Like, there's so much here for the team that comes out on top. And I think that's why it's got to be you, because, yes, your national championship hopes get a boost. Yes, your CFP chances go way up if you win it. But to make an impression in front of recruits while all of this is going on, and they've been talking about it too, and they want to see who gets the last laugh, that's big time if you can come out of here with a win after all that.
A 405 listener asks, any offensive line recruits coming in? Got to be able to block for the QB, throw into the stud receivers. Well, Oklahoma, the necessity of offensive line recruits for Oklahoma, at least in the 2027 class, has diminished greatly in the last few weeks because they already have 3 commits up front. 3-star offensive tackle Luke Wilson from the state of Texas, and then the 2 in-state 5-stars, Cooper Hackett from Fort Gibson, Jayden Petit from Bigsby. So, honestly, at this point, Oklahoma is afforded the luxury of being really picky from here on out with who else they take on the offensive line in the 2027 class. I don't necessarily know who it's going to be. I don't necessarily know what the timeline is going to be on that. But Oklahoma can be choosy the rest of the way in the 2027 cycle on the offensive line with the nucleus that they already have locked in. Elsewhere on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line as we wrap up the show. Big Wink says there are games over on the east side of the state tonight. Okay. Colgate, I guess, is playing Beggs, Ada, and Broken Bow. So we got a few. Maybe I'll drive out east. Who knows? Jim in Arlington says Oklahoma had a Thunder and Lightning back in the 90s with James Allen and Gerald Moore. Man, Oklahoma has had so many impressive running back tandems over the years. And maybe it hasn't always been a Thunder and Lightning type of dynamic, but some of the great ones have, man. Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon. You think about the Trey Sermon, Rodney Anderson duo in 2017. Looking for something a little bit more contemporary, Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray in 2021. In 2020, it was Ramondre Stevenson and Seth McGowan, which was quite an interesting duo. But, yeah, Oklahoma's backfield has been at its best historically. You got 2 running backs that you can lean on. Even in the Adrian Peterson era, right? Obviously Peterson was Oklahoma's calling card in the backfield, but in the early Peterson days, you had Kevon Jones. In the later Peterson days, you had Alan Patrick. So a running back duo has always served Oklahoma well.
Now, what do you think about the current running back duo as we pivot back toward this game tomorrow?
That's kind of where I was moving with it.
Okay,
I think we're going to find out here over the next couple of games, this week against Ole Miss, next week against Tennessee. Does Oklahoma truly have a formidable running back duo? Have they found their duo in Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson? Because these two certainly look like the most effective runners on OU's roster. Jaden Ott has floundered. Taylor Tatum has been a non-factor and has struggled with injury. And I don't know if we see Javonte Barnes the rest of the way. So this is kind of what it has to be at a certain point for Oklahoma. It's got to be Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson.
Yeah,
they showed you all the right things last week against South Carolina. They showed you all the right things to make you believe that this is the backfield duo you're going to be able to count on moving forward, and they're going to be a formidable threat for Oklahoma in the ground game. But, man, this one thing I want to see more so than a lot of other things tomorrow from this Oklahoma football team. Run the ball as effectively this week as you did last week against South Carolina, because this is also whenever you're going up against a high-octane offense, Grayson, one thing you want to do is win the time of possession battle. Mm-hmm. And you want to limit the possessions of the opposition. And how do you do that? Chew clock. How do you chew clock? Keep the chains moving on the ground. So we'll see. What's your official prediction tomorrow? Let's lock them in before we get out of here.
I do think Oklahoma wins this game, and that's not me selling out or anything like that or backtracking. I know those texts are going to come, but no, I do think Oklahoma wins this game, especially because I think they'll be attentive to detail in not giving up the big play, and if they do that, they win it. I think it's a one-score game, but I think Oklahoma comes out on top. Being at home will certainly help.
Give me the Sooners 27-20 tomorrow, folks. Our pregame coverage will start at 7 a.m. right here on the Ref with Toby, Ted, and Chris Plank. Grayson and I will talk to you again on Monday afternoon. We'll recap the game for better or worse, and we'll discuss some of the recruiting fallout for better or worse come the other side of the weekend. Y'all have a fantastic one. Enjoy game day. Don't go anywhere. Tyler and Ted are coming up next on The Rush. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Take it easy.